Hey guys, this is Chetan,
And this is Abby.
and welcome back to the Unprofessionals. So yesterday we went over week 2 of the college football season, as well as week 1 of the NFL season. But we're heading into week 3, and to start it all off, we're going to talk about these rankings. Um, I don't hate it. Oregon comes in at number 4. It's great to see a team in the Pac-12, make its mark. That now they're making noise. We were talking about this yesterday. Hey, you got to put some respect on the Pac-12 because they might be better than the ACC because the ACC's best team is Clemson. Other than that, I really don't hate this list. There's nothing that I would make an argument towards. I mean, yesterday I was telling you, hey, Cincinnati, the week prior I wanted them ranked higher, but now I understand why they're ranked where they are because their competition is not that great. I think the toughest game they have left on their schedule is number 12 Notre Dame, and both you and I are not high on Notre Dame. So I understand that ranking. Other than that, I guess the biggest drop on this list is Ohio State because of their loss to Oregon drops to number 9. Abby, what are your thoughts?
Right there with you, bro. Alabama 1, Georgia 2. I think Georgia should be 1. We both agree there, but no problem there. Oklahoma made a statement, 76-0. What was the score? I think it was 76. Yeah, I understand you're supposed to destroy them anyways, but still, that's legit taking care of business. Oregon, that's exactly how they should be. You beat the 4th-ranked team. You deserve. Actually, no, Ohio State was 3rd, I think.
Yep.
So whatever. So you win at their crib. Yeah, you deserve to be a top 4 team, and that's great. Iowa, I love it. 5, gain respect. I love it. You beat 2 ranked teams. That's exactly where you belong. Texas A&M makes sense. Dropping quarterback gets hurt. Didn't play well. Cincy, it's gonna be an uphill climb for them because their next few opponents aren't gonna be as how am I supposed to put this? Star power as they did before after seeing them play. Ohio State being over Penn State, I wouldn't do that because Penn State's undefeated. They went to Wisconsin and beat them. That's a better win than Ohio State beating Minnesota, in my opinion. So that's where I differ there with that situation. But after that, I think, yeah, overall, Auburn is the one team when I look at this list, I'm like, yo, I understand you're only 20, you're the 22, but bruh, they've done nothing to be in any rankings, in my opinion. I understand it's not a high ranking, but you're still ranked 22nd. So Auburn, we're gonna get into them in a second, but Auburn, in my opinion, that ranking, pay attention to that, and I'll give more detailed explanation towards that in a few minutes. But overall, like you said, yeah, solid list so far.
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to say about this list is the points ranking on the ESPN list. They're so closely ranked. The point like between 9 and 10, the point difference is 24.
This will continue to change repeatedly. This may be the most havoc we see in the 7 years the system's been in play.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like,
but now let's move on to week 3. Week 3, I understand. The thing is, we want to watch so much. We want Saturday to come. We want Sundays to come. The thing is, the closer they come, the closer they go. So it's a very tricky situation you're in with this. But listen, man, week 3 obviously starts technically today. Technically, one game on tonight, I think. Tomorrow, obviously, UCF plays. But Saturday's obviously always the big day. So the first game, the marquee game that out of 5 that we're going to go over, Cincinnati at Indiana. Cincinnati is a 3 to 4 point favorite, depending on where you're looking.
Yep.
On the road, Indiana obviously coming off their week 1 destruction at Iowa. They got destroyed, 2 pick-6s. They had an off week last week. I don't know how you have a bye week in your second week. I have no idea how that works, but they did. Now they're back home. This is their home opener, Cincinnati. They got to win this game. Chetan, your thoughts?
I mean, it's just, again, if we're talking about the way Cincinnati's been playing, I've loved Cincinnati since watching them last year. Desmond Ridder, absolutely fantastic at quarterback. It's just they're trying to make their names against other conferences, and this is one of the conferences that obviously you can make your name towards because we just saw what Oregon did against Ohio State. I think in this case, it's just, hey, if Cincinnati wins, they just keep moving along. They've beaten their first two opponents 91-21. And this is the hardest, this is the most challenging test so far for them, right? For Indiana, after week one against Iowa and then winning last week, winning against Cincinnati potentially puts them back in the top 25. So I guess that's what's on stake for both of these teams. It's just Cincinnati. With Cincinnati, I just feel for them just because their competition is not that strong. And if week one was a fluke for Indiana, this would have been a better, I guess, measuring stick for Cincinnati. What do you think?
I think must win, like you said. People are giving Cincinnati some hate. You want to say it? Like they didn't look their best against Murray State, and if you're really looking at the game, they only didn't look their best in the first half. It was 7-7. People are like, yo, what's going on here? How is this a tie game at halftime? Well, in my opinion, that was because they were looking forward to the next two games they got coming up. This was their picnic. This was their cakewalk. They had Indiana on the road next week, which is now obviously Saturday, and then following you have Notre Dame coming up. So this was easy to look forward to. It. We've seen this in the first 2 weeks already. People look ahead, and obviously it's just human instincts. You're playing Murray State, bro. You got Indiana next week. It was 7-7, but guess what happened in the second half? The defense gave up 0 points, and the offense scored 35. That's what they were supposed to do. They woke up. Now I think they'll be ready. The spread is very small. I think if this was at Cincinnati, it'd probably be like 8-10 maybe. So I think Cincinnati, they have to win this game. Everything they've worked for, they can't lose to Indiana. And I think Michael Penix, he's come back very early, in my opinion. I understand he's a quarterback. He's not a skilled position player. That his ACL is going to take longer to recover or whatever you want to phrase it as. But regardless, I think Indiana's not as good as last year. I think last year's record was also kind of shaky because of who they beat, when they beat them, what the real wins were. But I think Cincinnati, they have to win these games or else everything they've been working for, it's all for naught.
All right, moving on to Michigan State at number 24, Miami. So Miami is a 6.5-point favorite. The series between them two, the 4 games played, Miami has won all 4. If Miami wants to stay in the top 25, they got to take a win, and they would want to avoid their second 1-2 start in the last 3 seasons. Right? For Michigan State, a win here potentially gets them into the top 25 the first time since September. Their running back, Kenneth Walker III, is currently averaging nearly 11 yards a carry, going back to the 6 games he played last year in Wake Forest, and it's going against the Hurricanes defensive line. Just a couple other stats to throw at you before you go. Michigan State has already held longer. That's not important. Miami is seeking its 10th consecutive 2-0 start at home. All right. What do you think, Abby?
I don't understand this game at all. It's terrifying me at this point because why is Miami gaining this respect? I don't care if they're at home. Michigan State, obviously they took down Northwestern on the road. That was their home opener, first game of the season. Northwestern, people are obviously they're not as good as they were before last year, but they took care of business. They look great. They took care of business last week at Youngstown State at home. But Miami got dogged by Alabama, and I understand that everyone gets dogged by Alabama. But then you come home and your home opener and you almost lose to App State, bro. Like, I don't understand the spread. I don't. They're ranked 24. They should not be ranked at all. Every year, man, with 3 teams, we always keep saying they're kind of 4 teams. Texas, Miami, USC, and I think I'm actually no. Those are three teams. Those are three teams we keep waiting for and saying they're so-called back. Oh no, the fourth team's Florida State. There you go. Those four.
Them,
Those four.
you
We keep
can
saying
also
they're
say about Michigan occasionally.
Michigan occasionally, but Michigan has had some double-digit win seasons recently.
Nebraska, Wisconsin, all the like any premier um college football team back in the day when we weren't even born. Kind of everyone is expecting him to come back.
With that being said, I have no idea how this line makes any sense. Forget the line. I think Michigan State's going to win outright. The QB's playing great. The running back's playing great. The defense is playing great. So I don't know what I have to not like here with Michigan State. I feel they have the better coach. Mel Tucker's a better coach. I feel like they won some serious. They made some serious upsets last year when they played. They obviously Michigan wasn't really an upset anymore because obviously Michigan was awful last year, but they took care of business. They took down undefeated Northwestern at home last year, and then they beat them this year. So all in all, you can't tell me to pick Miami. I won't. I definitely won't pick them with -6. But overall, I think Michigan State is. I think they're going to upset Miami in this situation.
All right, moving on. So this is number unranked Purdue takes on number 12 Notre Dame. Notre Dame has been very shaky to start their season. 2 nail biting wins, including uh, they had to rally to beat Toledo 32-29. Their defense looks shaky. They almost lost their quarterback to was a finger injury, but he comes back, throws the game-winning touchdown. They're averaging about 98 and a half yards a game, rushing a game. But I think this is an interesting quote I'm reading. That hasn't been Notre Dame football, playing cutthroat, coming after you, detail-oriented football. They're giving up 33 and a half points a game and almost 400 yards a game, despite getting, 10 sacks and 4 takeaways. You can get those sexy stats about turnovers and sacks, but if your team is giving up that many yards and that many points, I don't know why. What's the spread on this game?
7.
I don't understand why the spread is so close when, hey, like, that
Close.
defense is not good.
Close.
I mean,
far.
No, I would say it, but they're giving up 33 and a half points a game. I would say a touchdown is a lot closer than you would expect, especially against an unranked team. What do you think? If Notre Dame was supposed to be the Notre Dame,
Oh, you're saying it should be higher.
it should be higher.
If
But
if you really respect Notre Dame, it should be higher. That's what you're trying to say.
yeah,
Okay, now let me get into this real quick. Forget the spread. I think Purdue is going to wall up this team. This is disgusting because Notre Dame, the only reason why they're still ranked was because they were ranked before the season started. That's the only reason why. That's why I despise preseason rankings. Preseason rankings give you, man. Preseason rankings give you, leeway. They give you leeway because you get that extra cushion, like you get respect that you didn't deserve. You didn't deserve. You didn't earn, and that's where I feel the situation is. Notre Dame does not deserve this respect. They should have lost to Toledo. I felt the guy should have. I don't remember the quarterback's name, but he should have. I understand 20/20 hindsight, but they had one timeout left. You should have just took the knee at the 1 yard line, and then kicked the field goal. The game would have ended. But instead, obviously, he scored it. He was safe, and then Notre Dame got the chance to score, and they did. I don't think the defense, like you said, 33 points a game. That's awful. David Bell for Purdue is one of the best receivers in the country. He's going to be a NFL draft pick very soon. Plummer is playing amazing. 6 touchdowns, 600 yards passing already. I think forget the points. I feel Notre Dame are frauds. Every year they win some of those games. Last year, in my opinion, they were frauds also. Who'd they beat? They beat Clemson when they didn't have the quarterback at home in OT. So is Notre Dame was Notre Dame good last year? Yeah. Were they a top 4 team? No. Oklahoma should have made it. We both agreed on that. Oklahoma, if we were being honest, last year, Oklahoma was a team at the end of the season that should have been the playoff team, or even Cincinnati, because they gave Georgia everything they had.
And I think,
Or who else? Or Texas A&M. And Notre Dame got destroyed against Alabama. They so-called covered the spread, but that doesn't mean shit because anyone that watched that game last year knows that Alabama absolutely kicked Notre Dame's teeth open. So in this situation, Purdue, I don't like this because it shouldn't be this easy, in my opinion. I don't like this. With Michigan State and now at Purdue. So the dogs are barking. So far, I'm taking 2 upsets, and to be honest, I don't know why they're upsets because they should be the favorites if they were, even though they're on the road.
yeah, and I kind of wish in the preseason rankings they'd take more into consideration what happened in those bowl games because that Notre Dame could not score a lick. They were lucky that they got into Alabama territory a couple times. You and I watched that game. I was sitting there like, yo, this is not real. Alabama was just killing them, and they came in ranked what 6, or did they come in 5 this year? Before
they were lower than that. I think it was 7.
You sure because they're what ranked 12 right now.
It's unimportant. They were overrated, and they're going to eventually be had. Since if they don't get had this week, Cincinnati will get them, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Cincinnati will beat this team, in my opinion.
and if I think they can be had this game, not just because of your stats, but they could be potentially looking ahead to Cincinnati as well.
They better not. They better not. David Bell's a man. I understand. They got their own Myers. The next great tight end from Notre Dame. They've had a rich history of tight ends. Tyler Eifert, Kyle Rudolph, Cole Clement. Now with the Chicago Bears. Obviously, over the years, they've had so many Notre Dame tight ends. But don't you dare disrespect David Bell here. You better cover him. You should have lost to Florida State, who just lost to Jacksonville State at home as 27-point favorites. You should have lost to Toledo, being a 20-point favorite against them, whatever the spread was, 17, 14, whatever it was. So they have not covered the spread. You can't tell me they're going to cover the spread against a team that's better than both of those teams that he just played. And I feel, forget the spread, Purdue should win this game outright.
All right.
And now let's move on to, I think there's 2 super great games to watch Saturday, and they're both the primetime games, 3:30, and then the next game we're going to cover. But let's start off with the 3:30 game. Obviously, when Bama plays, it's always, they're the cream of the crop for college football. At Florida, 14-point spread, bro. Yo, Florida, you're what? They're ranked 11? They're a top 12 ranked team at home. Prime time. And you are 14-point dogs at home, bro. Chetan, what you think?
It's again, right? They lost their QB. They lose Kadarius Toney. They lose Kyle Pitts. And again, Florida is ranked so high simply for the name Florida. And you can't go if you want to make a name in the SEC, you have to beat Bama. And the fact that you're 14.5-point underdogs, right? I feel like we just pile on onto Florida for the mistake that a player made last year by throwing the shoe, this and that. But what gives you faith that Florida has a chance? Because I'm reading this quote right here. This is funny. Florida's Damian Pierce. How's it feel to be such a huge underdog at home against top-ranked Alabama? This is my first time hearing that. 15 points against Bama. They being nice, ain't they? Everybody Bama plays, is what, like 20 points? They're showing us love at 15-point underdogs. Like, how can you say that as a player? Just be like, it just makes you seem like, yeah, no, we have no chance in this game. I just thought this is a fucking joke. What do you think?
Listen, man. Nick Saban ripped into his team last week against Mercer. They obviously killed Mercer, but he's gonna try to light a fire up to them somehow. And if he does what he said, then Florida definitely don't got a shot in this game. Florida's quarterback situation, bro. The wrong guy starting. The wrong guy is starting. This dude Richardson is he's definitely gonna. Well, does have a hamstring issue, so I don't know the situation, but he has made plays left and right when he's played. Emory Jones has been okay at best. Um, they beat South Florida. That means nothing. They actually gave up 20 points to South Florida, which is actually pretty disgusting because NC State just shut them out week one. And then when you go to the other team, I don't even remember who Florida beat week one. But let me just look at it real quick. Florida beat FAU. Okay, great. 35-14. So, in my opinion, you have to score at least 40 to beat Bama. They scored 35 versus FAU, and they were trying to score. It's not like they gave up. They were trying to score. And then they scored 42 at South Florida. So those two defenses are absolute garbage compared to what you're about to face. I don't think Florida's going to get to 30. I don't think they're going to get to 25. If you could barely score 40 against those two teams, how are you going to score 40 in this game? Bama's going to score at least 35, 40, 50 if they want. 40 minimum. When you play Alabama, you have to go in thinking, we're about to give up 40 points. I don't care who we are, unless we're Georgia. I think Georgia's the only team in the country that can say, yo, we can hold them to less than 30. That's the only team that can claim that. So Florida, listen, the spread's 14. That's a lot of points. I'm sorry. I'm still going to take that. I'm not going to bet against Bama. I'm not that idiot. If I lose, I'll take the L. But first half, whole game, it's roll tide, bro. This is nothing, man. Last year was Florida's best chance. With Kyle Trask, Kadarius Toney, Kyle Pitts, Copeland, all the pieces they had last year. And I don't think it's going to get any better now.
All right. Here's a funny little blurb at the end of the preview for Alabama versus Florida. The last defending national champion and number one team to roll into Gainesville was Miami in 2002. Right? Miami was the underdog by 2 points. Absolutely obliterated Florida 41-16. So it doesn't seem like history's on Florida's side here anyways.
Okay. And now our final game. This is a very interesting game for me, in my opinion, because I'm high on Penn State. I love what they've done so far. James Franklin's name been linked to the USC job. I don't know why you do that. USC, I understand they're in California, the Hollywood lights and everything. But I think he should stick to Penn State, in my opinion, because that is also a very marquee job. He's done some great things at Penn State. He still hasn't won the big game. He hasn't made the playoffs yet, but he's been very close. And so far this year, hey, they look great. They bounced back. Last year, they ended the season strong. They started off pretty badly, ended it strong, which shows you their culture they have. And now they started this season strong. This game is not about Penn State for me. It's more about the team that they're going up against. In my opinion, Auburn is the biggest fraud in the country. And it's because of who they've played. They've played two middle school teams in their college program. I don't care how many points they scored. I think they scored 50 one game. They scored 16 in a different game against Akron and whoever else they play. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to list the teams they've played. But regardless.
And Alabama State, they're averaging 61 points a game. Right. This is where the craziest disparity happens because we watched the Penn State beat who was it? Who they beat week one?
Wisconsin on the road.
Wisconsin on the road, right? So this is the craziest disparity because of competition itself. Points per game, 61 for Auburn, 30 for Penn State. 5 points points allowed per game, 5 points for Auburn, 11.5 for Penn State. And it's crazy because you'd be like, yo, that's insane. But it was Akron and Alabama State. One game you won 60-10. The other game you won 62-0. And for Penn State, it's the 16-10 win, which was the most impressive of the 4 games they played total. Like that's how disparaging the statistics are for this game. Because hey, Penn State played a good team. The average points allowed per game 11 and a half. It's ridiculous.
Yep. I don't even care about the numbers at this point. I just care about who you've played. I think Auburn's gonna get completely destroyed in this game. I think Penn State's gonna make a statement. Bro, this is. I feel bad for Auburn, to be honest, because you're basically doing. If I were to compare this to anything, it's like you're playing a G League team in the NBA. I'm gonna use an NBA comp here. It's like you starting your first game against a G League team, going 2-0, and then you get moved up to the NBA, and your first game is up against the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets that we currently have in the NBA, or the Los Angeles Lakers that we currently have in the NBA. That's what this is. You're going from teams that are probably ranked what? 500th in the country, 400th in the country, 300th in the country, and now you're playing a top 10 team. That's the disparity. That's the difference we're talking about here. You're going from teams that are ranked in the hundreds. I don't know how many schools there are in the country that qualify for this, but I'm pretty sure Akron and them would be counted in the hundreds, 200s, 300s, 400s, whatever. You're going from that to on the road. Those two are home games. Now you're going on the road, whiteout game. Obviously, whiteout game is the biggest game for the Penn State. Primetime game, night game, top 10 team. Bro, I think they're going to kill them. I think Penn State all day. And Auburn, I just hope you don't get embarrassed. In my opinion, I just hope for Auburn's sake they don't get embarrassed.
All right. So you can catch Abby tomorrow giving out bets in the morning with what you probably can do both baseball and college football.
Yep.
And then on the weekend,
me and Arun will be back tomorrow morning. Obviously, it takes time to post it, but we'll be back tomorrow morning, Friday. Obviously, today's Thursday, and then we'll give our NFL picks over the weekend. We have our college picks coming up. We have yet to lose a college pick that we've given out. It's only been 2 weeks, but still, regardless, we've been doing, in my opinion, a solid job giving out great content, giving out great information to everyone, because there's a lot of people that just bullshit. And I feel we're doing a great job. And we're not trying to tap ourselves on the back here, but we're just being honest. The results speak for themselves. The IG page speaks for itself. It's not a huge sample, but it's so far so good. And I don't know what else you could ask for.
Yep, that includes 6 straight winning days. And hopefully we move on to a 7th one tonight. You guys can catch our picks online on Instagram. We usually post them anywhere between 12 o'clock and 5 p.m. And you guys can catch us in the next one. Peace out.